It's about 56 to 58 degrees, and it is salt water. Now, blue whales are an Arctic animal. What that means is typically they live in colder environments around the world. They're found in Alaska, Russia, and even Canada. Now, as they're going around the habitat, you have to really go look at their back. They don't have that dorsal fin that you think about when you think about whales and dolphins. Instead, they have what's called a dorsal ridge, and that runs from the midpoint of their back all the way down to those powerful tail tubes. Now, on average, blue whales swim about 3 to 5 miles an hour, but they can actually reach a top speed of about 14 miles an hour if they're ever threatened by a predator. Now, gestation for blue whales, which is how long they're pregnant, is 15 months. Now, when calves are born, they're about 4 to 5 feet in length. They can weigh anywhere between about 100 to 180 pounds. Now, the youngest blue whale at SeaWorld San Antonio right now just turned 2 years old this past summer. And when blue calves are born, they're a very dark gray color. And as they age, they become this beautiful white that actually gives them their name. Now, beluga is the Russian word for white, but you might be asking yourself, why are they dark gray when they're born? Now, 2 reasons. Mainly, when the blue whales are swimming to their mom, they swim underneath them. The one thing that this does is it helps stay in that streamlined formation, helps them keep up with mom, but also that's where they nurse. And so by being that dark gray coloration, when a beluga calf is swimming underneath its mom, that dark gray color actually helps them to blend into mom's shadow and helps them evade those predators and prey, things like that. Now, you can tell males and females apart because they are sexually dimorphic. So what that means is that they're different sizes when they're fully grown. Typically, males are about 2 to 3,000 pounds, whereas our females are about 12 to 1,400 pounds. We can also tell them apart by their genital slits. Males have one long slit which rolls behind, almost looks like an exclamation point, whereas females have one long slit, 2 short ones on the side, almost looks like a division symbol. And those 2 on the side are actually where the long, where their mammary slit is. So that's where the calves nurse from. Now, they are marine mammals. What that means is they cannot drink the salt water that they live in. So, in order to make a tight seal with mom, they actually have a bridge or like these little bumps on the outside of their tongue, and they curl their tongue inward, almost like a straw, in order to make a tight seal. Because if they drink the salt water they live in, they would dehydrate just like we do. Other characteristics of the mammal, they have to breathe air, right? So they do have lungs. And all those sounds you hear the whales make come from the top of their head where that blowhole is located. Now, when you see blue whales, killer whales, or Atlantic dolphins, when they come up to the surface, you'll typically see them exhale first. Because of that little limit, they want to make sure to get all that water off the top of their head before they breathe in. Because they could potentially drown if they took in too much water. And by taking that echolocation, sometimes they create this water mist or this vapor. And that's when scientists first discovered whales. They saw that vapor and they thought, oh, they have a water spout. And today, Pinocchio, Finding Nemo, all these movies kind of still perpetuate that, but they do have them. They could potentially drown people in different ways. It's actually how they make all the different sounds they hear. It's just like if all you kids took a balloon, blew it up, and depending how you move your fingers and let out the air, you can make all those funny sounds, right? So we're joined up here in this front windows here with Kenai and Innick. Now these are 2 of our younger boys. They're both born in this very habitat. Innick just turned 6 years old on September 17th, and Kenai just turned 7. Now they're raising those tail loops. Those tail loops are how they propel themselves through the water. We talked a little bit about that earlier. But on either side of their body, they have pectoral flippers. Now what's really cool about these flippers is if you x-ray them, they look just like your hand. They actually have multiple digits in there, and that's how they stop and steer as they're maneuvering through their environment. Now if they open their mouth, you'll notice that they don't have conical or even cone-shaped teeth that you might think about when you think about whales and dolphins. Typically speaking of, say, a dolphin like a killer whale or a bombers dolphin, but their teeth are almost flat, and that's because they are what are called benthic feeders. So they will use those teeth to catch different types of prey, like herring, cable, some type of fish. But they also use those flat teeth in order to feed off the bottom of the ocean. In fact, almost like vacuum cleaners. So what they'll do is they'll go along the bottom of the ocean, using their echolocation to find things like clams, crustaceans, oysters, and they use those flat teeth in order to crush up shells. But the most important thing for all of us is that our animals live healthy and enriched lives. And we use a different variety of sessions that we use to act as helpers to remember. Now, in that helpers, the most important sessions that we do are what we call husbandry sessions. Now, husbandry is all the mental behaviors that we use in order to make sure that our animals are healthy. And trust me, you can't make a 2,000-pound whale do anything it doesn't want to do. So we train our animals and we condition them to actually help in their own health care. So on the far side of the stadium, we have Luna, which is a whale that's born right here in SeaWorld San Antonio. She's 23 years old. She's had 4 cats, one of which is Kenai. And then with Caroline over there, that is Tupac. Now Tupac turned 2 years old on July 25th, and he is working on a very important behavior we call fluke present. And this is where our animals will actually present their tail flukes to us, because that's where their veins and their blood vessels actually come closest to the surface of the skin. And so that's where we will take blood samples. Now I saw Melissa asking for that. Now we do dental exams as well. Just like you guys go to the dentist, we'll do dental x-rays and things like that with our animals. Our animals are also trained like Atlas over here on the left-hand side. We're trained for what we call like layouts. We want to check over their body each and every day to check on their physical condition. But those same layouts can be used for sonograms. So we talked about that gestation. So if we're ever expecting a beluga cat, in all those 15 months that we're waiting, we can use an ultrasound machine to check on the health of that cat. Now, Kenai and our little boys, don't expect them to become pregnant anytime soon, but we can still use those sonograms to check over the health of their internal organs. Now, at stage with Kenny is Chrissy and Martha, and those are our 2 of our oldest blue whales here in the park. Right at about 37 years old. Now, on average, blue whales swim about upper 20s, early 30s, so they're much over that median or that average lifespan. But whether it's a 2-year-old blue whale or a 37-year-old blue whale, we believe that mental stimulation and training our animals is also part of that husbandry, that welfare. Now, speaking of welfare, the next session is what we call exercise sessions. So just like we want to go out, get our heart rate up, get breathing hard, go to the gym, we would do exercise sessions to work our animals and kind of get them going, get those heart rates up, because ultimately that's going to help us stay healthier as well. Now the L stands for learn. That's my favorite type of session. That's when our animals are learning new behaviors. Now at SeaWorld, we use something we call operant conditioning. And operant conditioning, it basically says that we train our animals through what we call the ABCs of behavior. Now, I said earlier, we can't make animals do anything they don't want to do. So we ask the question, can you open your mouth so we can check out your teeth? Could you go do a jump in the middle of the habitat, showing how physically capable these animals are? And if that animal does that behavior, we don't believe that behavior is right or wrong. We either believe that it meets or does not meet criteria. And if it meets that criteria, we tell the animals yes, in a couple different ways. One, you'll hear some of the trainers blowing the whistle in their mouth, and that is a condition where it tells the animals that you're doing something correct at this very moment, and you can come back for something reinforcing, whether that's something like Dippin' Dots or something like that. But all the animals are individuals, and they seem to like or dislike different things. And one of my favorite parts of my job is all our animals are individuals. Help us see the like and dislike different things. So it's getting to know these animals on an individual basis. And so we believe that the consequences that follow behavior ultimately increase or decrease that behavior. So let's say Indy and Kenai out here, they do the behavior correctly. Maybe we bring out their favorite toys, and we believe that through that, they're more likely to emit that behavior in the future. But people ask us all the time, what happens if the animals get something incorrect? Big fancy word is nothing. We use what we call the LRS, and it stands for least reinforcement scenario. It's a big fancy word for just saying we take a 3-second pause, and we can either ask that behavior again, or we can move on to something else. Animals get things right, they get things wrong, and that's absolutely okay. Now the next letter of that acronym is P, the play. Ultimately, you're seeing a bunch of big kids up here because they're trained to get play with animals. Not a lot of people get paid for that. So, but we want to play with our animals. We want to engage them. We want, when we come in, that they want to engage with us and kind of build that relationship, because relationship sessions is at the core of everything. You know, whether an animal has its favorite toy, whether it's a bucket of food, anything like that, at the very core of what we do is relationship. And the animals aren't just doing anything for the, you know, people that haven't put in the time or the effort. And then shows is just another type of session, like the exercise session or a learn session. All those behaviors can go into our presentations. Ultimately, what we do is we just put some music behind it, and our job is ultimately to exhibit these animals to show you their natural adaptations, their natural ability, and ultimately, hopefully, you care about them enough to go, hey, how can we help beluga whales or killer whales or whatever animal you fall in love with today around our world. I was talking a little bit about how we train the animals. People ask us all the time, how do you get into animal training? A lot of people think we're marine biologists, and some of us do have marine biology degrees, but we actually prefer to read psychology, because everything we do is based on shaping behavior. So it's through those ABCs behaviors, or that optimal conditioning that I was talking about. You also have to be a strong swimmer in order to pass the swim test, and you also have to be scuba certified. You know, this is a very small glimpse of our day, kind of give you guys a behind the scenes look, right? That's what inside what it's all about. There's scuba diving, habitats, cleaning, all that kind of stuff to make sure that our animals have the best life possible. I'm going to talk a little bit more about some of these behaviors. So if you look right here, this is Atla. And Atla is doing a behavior we call bow, which is just like a basic jump. And then you heard that whistle, so Julia said that was the criteria, and she did a good job. Now, just like some of you are putting up cameras, our whistle is almost like taking a photo. We want to basically pinpoint the moment the animal's doing something correct, just like taking a photo. So if an animal, say, is coming over here and doing a front flip, at the apex or the climax of that behavior, we want to blow the whistle and say, right now you're doing something correct, and you can come back for something fun that we talked about a little bit earlier. Now, if you look at the beluga whales, on top of their head is that big forehead kind of looking area. This is called the melon. And the melon is full of fatty tissues and lipids that actually help to enhance or redirect sound waves. So they amplify sound and they send those sound waves out into their environment. Those sound waves bounce off of objects within their environment, whether it's a predator, prey, a boat, anything like that. And then those sounds reverberate and they come back to the animal. Now, beluga whales, their lower jaw is partially hollow, and that jaw line is actually able to retrieve all those sound waves to give them kind of a map of their environment. But as you can see, they do have eyes. They do have quite good eyesight. So they typically will use sound when they're diving deeper in order to maybe find food. We'll talk about other sounding meters with a little bit light. But there are also parts of the world where beluga whales come into rivers. And they'll go into rivers that are, say, 3-4 feet deep because they like to rub up rock beds. And sometimes when they do that, their ability will go down, so they might use sound for that. But they are very tactile animals. Now, we shed our top layer skin every few days, but beluga whales shed their top layer skin every few hours. And that's one of the reasons that they seem to be very tactile as well. But if you look at their beautiful body, this is called a fusiform body. Big, fancy word. Basically saying that they are shaped like torpedoes. We said earlier, 3 to 5 miles an hour is a good average, but they can swim to 14 miles an hour if they're, say, ever threatened by predators or something like that. Now, natural predators for beluga whales, killer whales will hunt beluga whales, but their biggest predator is polar bears. Now, we talked a little bit about how they have to breathe. They can move around for quite some time, almost 20 minutes. But in the winter time, sometimes they're looking for breathing holes in the ice. And polar bears know that these animals have to hang around little breathing holes. Hope that a beluga whale will show up, and that's something that they can hunt. Now, SeaWorld San Antonio is also home to a whale by the name of Tyonek. This is something I love talking about each and every day. And it's through those milk samples and a milk analysis that we know at the ecological facility how to make milk or a formula for beluga whales, which is really cool. So when they're nursing their cats, typically they can nurse anywhere about a year and a half, 2 years. So by taking those milk samples and running them through a milk analysis, we know how to make a formula. And SeaWorld San Antonio is home to this whale by the name of Echolocation. And Echolocation is the first ever successfully rescued and rehabilitated blue whale in the entire world. And he was from the cook in the population, which is just over 300 whales left. So he was found upon the beach. He had a lot of mental issues. He had a collapsed lung. He was found without his mom. So she could have been preyed upon. Personally, I feel like she probably abandoned him just because of all the physical disabilities that he had. And so he was rescued and taken to the Alaska Sea Life Center. And the Alaska Sea Life Center said, hey, we have this beluga calf. How do we make a formula for this young whale? And the whole reason that we know how to do that is those two beautiful ladies right there at stage. So it's kind of cool behavior that was trained here in Texas, ultimately helped this little whale. He was deemed not releasable by the U.S. government, and they actually chose SeaWorld San Antonio as his home. So with that, I'm actually going to get off the microphone and let you guys enjoy these whales. But myself and some of my colleagues are just going to hang out here by the glass. So if you want to know something about these whales specifically, how SeaWorld trains, if you want to know about Asian smock-clawed otters or killer whales, we like talking about them too. So we're going to hang out for a little bit. Feel free to come on down, talk our ear off, talk about our jobs and what we do. And we appreciate y'all coming for Inside Love. Thank you guys.